Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to another exciting episode of Colney Talk Podcast, your bite-sized breakdown show. I'm your host, Alex. First-time listeners, glad to have you here. And to my returning guests, thank you for sticking with me. As always, I talk a bit about the Arsenal match and pick out my top 3 Arsenal players who shined and one odd player not good enough I got to call out. First, I got to apologize for not making the previous pod on the amazing win over Real Madrid. We're over that now, and we have a big battle in front of us with PSG. But for now, I'm going to talk about a game against Ipswich. No disrespect, I wasn't expecting any craziness from this match because I thought we were superior in every way, and the team didn't disappoint. It was a commanding performance at the Portman Road, dismantling Ipswich Town 4-0. This was on the heels of our midweek win. Yes, there's a lot of emotional high on that, and it takes a toll, but the team came prepared. They did not take anything lightly, and there's a statement to be made in how they're going to fight till the end to grab as many points and make it not just a giveaway in terms of the title chase. And I really don't like talking about it, but that's just exactly the situation we have in hand. So for the game, when you look at how Arsenal approached this from the opening whistle, it was clear Arsenal needed to immediately establish territorial advantage. And that's more of playing in Ipswich's half, patiently circulating possession, probing for weakness in Ipswich's defensive structure. What impressed me most was how quickly we settled into our rhythm. And the reintroduction of Ben White started, making it his first start since November. Like, gosh, how much we've missed him. It gave us that notable triangle that we've come to enjoy and look forward to when it's the trio, Ben White, Ødegaard, and Saka. And that was something we sorely missed. And more importantly, having him on the pitch, getting game sharp and fitness, that was great for Ben White. The opening goal in the 14th minute, Ødegaard found himself with acres of space. I think this was his game. He was dancing and doing a lot of his control and dominance in terms of creating opportunities. And he had that in spades as far as playing in acres of space to advance our attacking plans. And this time, his combination with, Saka, where he found him on the right, this was the dominant trend. And I think the team pretty much expected that. The return ball into the box, I think those were the typical responses of give and go, or the crosses and the whips that will be coming in. And that was a lot for Ipswich to handle. So as it happened, Saka's cross into the box, got into Trossard's path. And although Trossard was slipping and not finding his full control, at the crucial moment, he showed composure to squeeze a shot, and his finish between O'Shea's legs into the bottom corner, that's how things just opened up for us. So I'm not sure if you want to call it sexy or not, but that's just getting us started with the goals and what we need to do to take away this game. Now, the fluid movement in our forward line was causing Ipswich all sorts of problems, amongst others. Trossard was operating brilliantly as a false nine, and I kind of was surprised that it was him as opposed to Merino. But then, in terms of the players and the better position to play this game, I'm okay with that. And he was constantly dropping deep, dragging defenders out of position, creating space for Martinelli and Saka to exploit on the flanks. That was good. And it felt like there was some fluid swaps of roles, which I think Arsenal does that quite a lot. So Ipswich were finding a lot of difficulty. This movement was evident in our second goal as well, which in the 28th minute, the sequence started as a beautiful cross-field pass from Saliba to find Trossard on the right. Then he played Saka into the space, bursting forward before delivering a perfect cross to Mikel Merino, who really did it all. Like, he's cleverly flicked into Martinelli's path. He made it what it is, created that space, created that opportunity, opening that role for Saka to just really make a simple tap in. And that was beautiful. I mean, that's the brilliance of these kinds of play that Merino has produced in different shapes. But more importantly, as far as how Trossard started these combination plays, credit to him as well, because it was these connections with these players and how they would anticipate the game coming through that would really turn out to having that goal is exactly what they were looking to achieve. So again, overall team play. And this was Martinelli's 50th goal for Arsenal, by the way. So good for him. I didn't know this, but it's worth noting that in 44 games in which Martinelli has scored, we've never lost a single match. That's an incredible stat. And I hope he scores against PSG, kind of throwing it out there early. So we will definitely hope for that. I don't recall a meaningful chance for us as far as Arsenal goes in terms of conceding. We did have a couple of moments, though, where Ipswich pushed forward. One particular instance, we lost possession cheaply in the midfield, which could have been, a costly mistake and from a more clinical opponent or maybe better angle. Who knows? We could have been gashing our teeth, not talking about our clean sheet, but we didn't get so much of that threat. Additionally, though, Ipswich, despite their battles, despite Arsenal's dominance, we were sometimes guilty of overplaying in the final third when a more direct approach might have been what we needed. We had those chances, so it kind of goes against this argument for this game because, in moments when it could have been simple and direct, which we didn't get, the chances to score did show itself out, but we didn't get it because some players just couldn't find their feet properly. But as the game went on, it turned a bit of a scare for me when Leif Davis would have seriously hurt Saka and everything would have just changed. The whole narrative, the excitement, the hope, it would have all turned sour. He received the red, Davis that is, but more importantly, Saka managed to play in, so that was the biggest positive. Following the send-off for Davis, Arsenal's control became even more pronounced. Although Saka himself missed 3 excellent chances to extend our lead before the break, he had 2 better open chances that he should have put away. Very unusual Saka to miss this many chances. He's better get it off his system. Not like he's doing it intentionally. It is not cool for Saka to miss this many chances. And in training sessions, hopefully he takes it up one notch because we don't want this occurrence happening again to Saka, nor any of our Arsenal players. Our midfield oppressors, Ødegaard, Rice, and Merino, impose themselves with perfect balance of creativity, defensive security, and forward thrust. That forward thrust was something we ensured playing all the way in around everything that had to do with Ipswich in their own half. Merino in particular won 9 duels and made 5 tackles in the first half alone. And that was him ensuring that our defensive structures was intact, but also contributing that intent of getting us forward, getting more goals. And that sublime assist for Martinelli, simply sublime. I'm sure most of you said the same thing. We should have scored more goals. Long before Ipswich were down 10 men, we should have had 2 solid goals. So it could have been 3-0, but that's how it happens in the games. When we should score, we don't score. When we don't think we'll score, it happens. But that's part of the game. So we wrapped up the first half with 2-0. Nothing to complain here. Everything seemed as a scheduled program as far as how we handled it, and we went to the half going to try to close this out properly. And then moving into the second half, Arsenal continued where they left off, dominating Ipswich side into submission. And I really mean it, submission. Because the boys played them into tired legs, tired of concentration, of figuring out what things were happening after we swerved them in ball plays, moving from side to side. We set up camp in Ipswich half, as you've heard me say earlier. And this was now patiently probing, trying to find more openings, while maintaining control of the rhythm and tempo. Our positional play, it was exemplary with constant rotations in midfield and the forward line keeping the Ipswich defenders guessing. That, even for someone watching, was tiring because we created pockets of spaces and wanted to do more of that. So the gulf in quality was impressive, and I think credit to how the team decided on what they were going to do as far as making the impact of the game as they started the second half. However, to Ipswich's credit, they did show some resilience. At the start of the second half. Around the 56th mark, they had their best chance of the game besides the first attempt that Julio and Enciso had, found himself through on the goal and sent a shot wide out left. But thankfully, there wasn't any defending for him to do there. But after that, we closed the door with a third goal. A shot corner routine involving Declan Rice and Ødegaard caught Ipswich off guard, and Trossard was unmarked in the box to fire off a finish in the net for his first brace in an Arsenal shirt. Now, the goal effectively, as I said, killed the game and allowed us to make more changes. There were a number of pleasing aspects after we knew we handled the business in the second half, like seeing Kieran Tierney come on for his 100th Premier League appearance in an Arsenal shirt, and Nathan Butler-Oyedeji, someone we've been waiting and hoping he will get a chance to play, which it did come for him, and making his top flight debut was pretty good. And yeah, he did take his chance because right away he marked the occasion with a chance on a goal, forcing a fingertip save from Palmer in an instant powerful strike when the ball came to him. So that was a great moment where he didn't have to do so much dribbling while in the box, trying to make an impact immediately, and credit to him. The icing on the cake, though, was the fourth goal. Ethan Nwaneri got on the score sheet when Ødegaard fed him the ball, allowing him to drift inside and unleash a powerful shot, albeit deflected before finding the net. It was a deserved goal for Ethan. He continues to impress me whenever given the opportunity, and in this game, he tried several times to release some shots. So when he had it, he took it, and he got rewarded for that. So good on him. In this match, our positional play and ball circulation were exceptional, constantly shifting the Ipswich defensive block to create spaces, swapping roles with players. The false nine role by Trossard was as fluid as you would imagine, creating that confusion as far as Ipswich's defensive line, figuring out who should pick who up and who they were defending, even when he dropped deep. So that was a tall task for them. With Ben White, we had that dynamism back on the flank we all know about. White's ability to invert into midfield, allowing Saka more space to isolate the defender, while also on the opposite flank, Zinchenko forward movements created overloads with Martinelli. But as far as Ben White goes, he was triggering and trying to initiate a lot of those overlaps, and that was a lot for Ipswich to deal with. And this was Arsenal taking full advantage of the width, stretching them as much as they could in terms of how compact the defense wanted to be, and we had to open things up. Ipswich was simply overpowered. Overall, they just couldn't figure out how to deal with things. As much as they tried to defend and, get control in their box, it all came into, set piece FC as far as corners go. So that's how much they had to deal with it. Overall, it was a good game. Good outing for the boys. We got 3 points, scored a number of goals, got a clean sheet, and couldn't ask for anything more, so pretty okay with that. All right, quickly to my top 3 Arsenal performance in the match. First off, I'm starting with Trossard. Operating in that false 9 role, he was great with his shot output in this match. He was quite deserving of the goals that came from it, because as many times he would release or make those attempts, it would make sudden impact as far as defensive reactions and how it would give us more momentum going forward. His movements and finishing were all on display, reminding me of his playmaking ability. So it comes, it goes. In this game, it did come. So I enjoyed that. Trossard's first goal, he showed that predatory instincts and technique. Despite losing his balance, he still managed to guide the shot between the defender's legs into the bottom corner. And that's a notable trait from him. Throughout the match, his positioning was great, constantly finding pockets of space, just like Ødegaard did. And, Ipswich defensive line just had a lot of confusion to deal with. Open channels for us and the team and the other players was what came out of that. So, those influences did, play in our benefit. What impressed me most about Trossard's performance was his link-up play. He constantly dropped deep to receive the ball, turned, played aggressive passes to runners behind him. There was one particular sequence where he collected possession with his back turned to goal, spawned his marker, and played a perfectly weighted pass that carved Ipswich wide open and in tight spaces. What we forced them into as far as compacting them, this was the kind of play from Trossard that was needed, and, he didn't disappoint. His second goal was all about staying ready. While everyone was focused on the short corner routine between Rice and Ødegaard, Trossard just ghosted into space in the box and it didn't feel like anyone noticed him. And once he received the ball, he finished it brilliantly, and it was a perfectly low-driven shot. His, versatility as far as shooting is one of the best. And then, we got the best of it. And he had the performance to back it up. Second player, Ødegaard, our captain, delivered another masterclass in creative midfield play. He was on his dancing game, busting up all the way. I thought at some point it was a little too much ball dribbling and dancing, but I'll leave it at that for now because everything else did turn into positives, and the chances that he created, we would have been way more than 4 goals. Ødegaard's ability to find space between the lines was nothing short of surprising, as you all know. He constantly positioned himself in areas where Ipswich didn't want to follow him, creating dilemmas for the defensive structure. His first time passes around the corner, taking out multiple defenders, that's where you get to enjoy a lot more of his game. And yeah, it was a joy to watch and kept our attacking moves flowing with pace and purpose. He was directly involved in our opening goal, finding space to drive forward before playing in Saka and then providing the touch that set it up. It often feels like the choice is either, setting up Saka or whipping across for a header, and that's poison for Ipswich to deal with. Later in the game, he was involved in our third goal, where he combined with Rice at a short corner to create Trossard's second goal. His creativity was summed up perfectly when he struck the base of the post with a powerful drive from 20 yards out in the second half, and that would have been an immaculate goal if it went in. But the threat was there. I wish he had a little bit more of those shots because those dancing, tiptoeing felt a little bit too much if you ask me. What often goes unnoticed about Ødegaard is his defensive contribution. Yes, his pressing triggers are so on brand and important on how Arsenal plays out of possession. And against Ipswich, he was constantly leading the line, leading the press from the front. There were several instances where he won the ball in dangerous area and immediately turned the defense into attack, keeping Ipswich pinned in their own half. And this was in combination with how we stayed tight when we were off the ball, and we kept them in some shape that didn't give them much options. In games like this, against opponents who just set up defensively or where they don't have much options, if they try to press us in a certain way, having a player like Ødegaard is where you're giving him room in the playground like a kid in a candy store, and he was cooking. His ability to spot and execute passes that others can't even see and others were not able to understand is what the conversation about him will continue to be. And I know there's more in his locker that we're looking forward to, especially getting some of those right-footed shots. So, more of that, and we're looking forward to it. It was a great game from the captain. There's no doubt about it. So, kudos to him. Now, completing my top 3 performance is Declan Rice, the complete man in the middle. He delivered another commanding performance at the base of our midfield, providing the platform for our attacking-minded players to express themselves while contributing directly to our attacking play. Rice's reading of the game was exceptional throughout. He consistently positioned himself to intercept Ipswich's passes and transition defense to attack quickly. There were multiple times where he won possession in our defensive third and immediately launched counterattacks through progressive passes. He is simply special, but that's no breaking news. His involvement in our third goal just highlights how alert he was for anything. That cerebral click of this is something that got to be done. The short corner routine, he executed it well with Ødegaard, and it's clearly something they worked on and he paid off. I mean, what continues to, shine with Rice is how he dictates the tempo of our play. When we need to speed things up, he will play one-touch passes and drive forward, or at least dispossess and run with it. And then when we need to control the game, it will take the sting out of it a lot of times, intercept plays, recycle possession patiently, and get our spaces and positional play and what we need to do. That game intelligence from Rice is why he's elite, and is nothing short of a debate. And, he's really such an integral part of Arsenal's team success thus far, and, more from him on that. But I want to give a special mention to Mikel Merino, who yet again put in another excellent performance in midfield. Merino, he won, the stats would show he won 9 duels, made tackles, provided sublime assists. he did so many things that disrupted Ipswich in other ways, and even attempting to score, which he missed a header chance that went slightly off the bar. I was going to say he has quietly established himself as a vital cog. He's no longer quiet, folks. It is very, very loud as a vital cog in our system. He brings the physicality, he brings the technical brilliance and vision, and then on top of that, the tactical intelligence to our midfield, and making sure like we're never oppressed when we need to go forward or when we're getting pressured. So, big shout out to him there. And it was also great to see Ben White. I mean, I know we've seen him in few bursts, but having him start the game for the first time since November, I mean, his return adds another dimension to the right side and bringing back that special triangle, as I said, with Saka and Ødegaard. But there's going to be a bigger question whether it's going to be him or Timber starting games. But that's a better, healthy conversation to have, because for other roles and players and positions that we're going to need some help, at least we know we can count on that. Ben White's defensive solidity and composure on the ball were evident throughout the match, but I know he needs to get a bit more up there in terms of game sharpness. So it's a perfect scenario for him in the game that he played. The 4-0 scoreline reflected our dominance. Could have been more, but surely what's most impressive was the control and maturity we displayed throughout the 90 minutes. This win is all about picking up points and putting some distance from the rest of the folks down there. I'm proud of the team and how we have continued to go about our business without having to deal with any other thing, and long may that continue. It's something that we would ride on with what we are facing in the Champions League, competition. So big up to the boys. Okay, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow gunners. Until next time, take care.